Yo, so I appreciate y'all running up the Switchforce video like y'all did, man. 2.3K views. That's insane. Like I was hyped when it got 100 views. I was in the Discord like going crazy, but appreciate the love on that one, man. Appreciate the support. Had no idea there were that many people out there that would see it, let alone interact with it. So much love to y'all. Also, in this video, I want to make a wager with you guys. So I will Cash App everybody that's subscribed to be $5 if we don't get some type of Heroes comparison or Heroes reference at some point in the video. If he doesn't do it, drop y'all's cash tags in the comments below and I will Cash App each one of y'all $5. If he does do it, you got to subscribe to my Patreon. It's $5 a month. Me and my friends read Sonic fan fiction. It's hilarious. I promise you it's worth the $5, but let's get into the shit. This ought to be fun.
Alright, so as you already know, the upcoming game is Sonic Frontiers, and as these new pieces of information have been coming out, whether it's footage or interviews talking about the game, I've been doing some reconnaissance, whether it's my own comment section, whether it's doing polls on my community post, whether it's looking at the Bird app to see what people are saying about the game, or even other people's videos and comment sections. I've noticed something, and it needs to be talked about, okay? And this is the Sonic Unleashed hypocrisy.
Okay, nothing too egregious so far. I have seen a couple of people here and there make the Unleashed comparison where the combat was concerned, but let's keep going.
I've been letting this shit slide for too long, and I'm frankly tired of just letting it go because it's starting to get really ridiculous now, okay? I know you lot are on that Hopium Copium, that HC gang, but you lot need to keep it in check.
Yep, there it is, that trademark Hopium Copium. Man, the only people who are on that are you and the other people who are vehemently against this game potentially being good, and now you're hoping that you can save face by dying on your hill, which again is cool if that's the route you want to take, but trying to convince people that are hopeful for this game that they shouldn't be hopeful for this game by insulting them is probably not the best way to get your point across.
Sonic Frontiers, the Sonic Unleashed hypocrisy, right? I'm talking about how certain Sonic fans, mainly those on the Hopium Copium, are defending things in Frontiers that was done already in Sonic Unleashed simply because it's an open zone or whatever. Meanwhile, shitting on Unleashed for doing the exact same thing, assuming that the Frontiers version is being done better, even though they've played Unleashed and they haven't played Frontiers.
Now, this may be anecdotal, but I don't think I've seen a singular person shitting on Unleashed in defense of Frontiers. Like, the only things that the game even have in common are that there is combat, but that's kind of like, shitting on Devil May Cry to defend the new Turtles game. I mean, both of them are beat 'em ups, yes, but there's way more difference than there is similarity. Also, you kind of directly defeated your own point at the end of that last clip because you can't say that Frontiers is bad or what Frontiers has been done before in defense of Unleashed because you haven't played Frontiers or the world at large hasn't played Frontiers. There have been a couple of people that have and they seem to like the combat, but saying you can't say that this is good because you've played one and you haven't played the other is easily flipped on its head, as you can't say it's bad either because of the same logic. Like, what?
For example, werehog combat, according to fans, bad. I don't want to be fighting no enemies. I don't want to be a fucking werewolf. Okay, cool. Sonic doing combat in Frontiers? Good, because it's regular Sonic? So that changes everything because it's not a werewolf or whatever you want to call it? That makes it good?
So this one might be quite a bit long of a response, but just bear with me. So as someone who was a teenager when Unleashed came out, people absolutely hated the werehog mechanic because it was such a stark contrast to the day stages. The day stages were high speed levels that were more traditional platformers, akin to like something like 06 or Rush at the time that used the boost formula. And the werehog stages were slow, clunky depending on your definition of good combat mechanics, but they were such a stark contrast to the day stages at the time that people were not ready to play, and that was the entire point of the night stages. people have not been saying that the werehog combat or the werehog stages were bad for 14 years because it wasn't regular Sonic. They were saying that because at the time, literally the only thing that Sonic was known for in his games was being fast. People did not want to play a God of War simulator in a Sonic game. If people wanted to play God of War, they'd go play God of War. People wanted to play Devil May Cry, they'd go play Devil May Cry. People came to Sonic to be fast and do fast shit. That was why people were complaining about the werehog combat at the time. And even now, as somebody that liked it back then and would defend it now, it's not the greatest mechanically, but it's not egregious to the point of, you know, something like Jake and the 99 Dragons bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not that the combat itself is bad. It was just in too stark of contrast at the time for what people expected a Sonic game to be. From what I've seen, people are praising the combat in Frontiers because it's fast and it goes with the flow and the design philosophy of the game. It meshes well better because you're in an open zone or an open world setting, and you know the combat is fast paced. It's basically seamless between platforming because you're running around the world. Hey, here's an enemy, fight these enemies, and you know, get your upgrades, yada yada yada. It's not, hey, you were just blazing through an Italian city. Now here's a night stage that's gonna take at bare minimum 10 minutes because you're slow as hell. Enemies are basically damage sponges until you get to like level 9 or 10. And on top of that, the only way to get back to the day stages that you could beat in about 2 or 3 minutes was to collect medals in the night stages. What happens if you die in a night stage? Guess what? You get to start it all the way over again. That thing you hate, the thing that you have to do to progress the game and get back to what you like, is now made doubly tedious because of the fact that there are certain medals and collectibles that you can only get in the night stages. That's why people didn't like the werehog stages. And even as somebody who's liked Unleashed since it came out, that's probably the game's worst facet, is the fact that, you know, the collectibles are necessary to progress the game. That's how you do collectibles poorly, in my opinion. Now, in some cases, you know, I don't mind the tedium. If it's like, hey, get 5 of these and there are multiple ways to get 5 of these, then, you know, I'm cool, whatever. But the only way you're playing day stages in Unleashed is if you go through the night stages and get the appropriate amount of medals. That's why people didn't like those stages. That's why people didn't like the combat. That's why people gave Unleashed 5 and 6s when it came out, because half the game to the general public was good, half of the game was bad. Not this, hey, it's regular. I would have loved Unleashed if it was regular Sonic. Shut up, man.
Medal collecting in Unleashed, bad. Bogs the pace of the game down, right? Bogs the whole pace down, right? I want to get from level to level. They're making me collect these medals to progress. Hate that. Force collectibles to progress in Frontiers to unlock cyberspace? Good. Because it's the upcoming game, because it encourages you to explore the open zone to progress and unlock more cyberspace levels. Yeah, so different, so much better than what was already done.
To further my last point, I'm going to give you guys an analogy. So if I told you that you had to make $100 to live to see tomorrow, and the only way that you could do that was by doing the absolute worst chore in the house that you hated, whether it's dishes or laundry, that's the only way you can get $100. Or if I offered you the same conundrum, you still have to get the $100, but there are multiple tasks you can do to get that $100 and you'll get to live to tomorrow. Which one are you picking? Just generally. Again, my opinion in this situation does not matter because I like Unleashed, but we're speaking to the people that didn't, or the general consensus that Frontiers is doing something that Unleashed did, but better. And the problem is that even though the end goal might be the same, the path you take is completely different. So for context, I'm gonna slideshow the amount of medals that are in each night stage that you have to go through and get so you can play another day stage, which is required to progress the game. Now, in Frontiers, we don't know if the cyberspace levels are necessary or if they're just there to get extra keys that allow you to progress the normal game, which is the open zone. But the more I see about it, the more and more that's what it's looking like. Like the cyberspace levels are just a fun way to get something that you can also get in the open world that will allow you to progress. I don't know because the game's not out. I don't know for sure if cyberspace levels are necessary to progress the game. But for now, let's just pretend that they aren't. Let's just pretend that they're fun little extras. But I'm going to drop the medal count for each stage from Unleashed, and I'm not going to talk to it so you can see how many medals there are versus how many medals there are in the overworld. Like, they give you an option of side missions to do in the overworld, but it doesn't really matter because the majority of the medals that you can get are in the day and night stages that unlock their counterparts. So again, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to just let this run through. Just look at these counts. I just want to reiterate this for dramatic effect because Unleashed is a 2008 video game. You cannot progress if you do not collect all the necessary medals in the stages to unlock the next stage. You cannot play the game unless you trudge through something that you may or may not like. And that's the only option you have to progress the fucking game.
Werehog level length in Unleashed? Bad. I want to get to the fun day stages. I don't want to spend 30 minutes in a werehog level doing things like combat and searching for collectibles. Although you could do it much quicker, but that's not the point. Frontiers being only 1/3 traditional levels, aka boost, and 2/3 open world. Good, because I get to spend more time exploring and doing combat.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say this now. Premy does not understand design philosophy. Like there's a huge difference between designing a game with two opposite play styles and then saying you can only do part A of a game if you play part B of a game, and designing a game where the combat is interwoven into the style of play of the rest of the game. Yes, you have boost levels, but you can also move at high speeds in the open world, and the combat is tied to that high speed movement in the open world. Look at the clip that you show after I cut this part. You're showing the combat in the open world being faster and interwoven into the rest of the open world gameplay. In Unleashed, there are two different games that you're playing. One is a combat game, one is a platformer. Do you see the difference yet? The platforming and combat are in the open zone in Frontiers. Therefore, it gives people the sense that, oh, this is what's supposed to be happening. I don't have to take a break from my high-speed open zone and platforming to go into a level to go do combat. Those are two inherently different things, bro. What are you talking about?
And searching for collectibles to get to the next boost level. And don't even get in the comment section talking about Prem, there's puzzles as well, because I did the poll with thousands of votes and it got 0%. 0% of you voted for puzzles, okay? Thousands of votes. Don't act like that is the thing that's carrying the open zone. It's combat and exploration. That's it.
Okay, you did a poll. Sick. In the 12,000 people that voted in that poll, are those the only 12,000 people that are gonna buy Sonic Frontiers? No, didn't think I would have to be a math teacher today, but here we go. So here's the thing about people and their polls, right? You have to look at sample size. If 68% of people in a 12,000 person poll told you that they are excited for, the open zone, if we have 100,000 people, hypothetically, that are gonna buy this game, if we extrapolate the rest of that data, statistically, there are going to be people who are excited for the puzzles. What are we doing here? Like, who cares? Who cares that you did a poll and 12,000 people answered, and of the 12,000, nobody voted puzzles? So what? That doesn't even prove anything. That's also a straw man, because your entire point this video has been that people are complaining about stuff that was done in Unleashed, but Frontier's doing it better. And the argument before you threw up the poll was that people didn't like collecting medals, but it was cool in Frontiers. Like, again, two completely different games, two completely different methods of progression. Your poll shows that out of those 12,000 people who voted, that none of them were excited for the puzzles, which doesn't even come into play of the argument of medal collection and combat. What are you doing? And again, you're helping prove my point, because I could run that same poll and potentially get somebody that is excited for the puzzles. Like, the data when it comes to opinions is never going to be empirical. And that's also not a sign of, the game being bad or your point being right, because puzzles were never the argument.
You could say platforming, but we barely saw any of that, but that's a topic for another day. Hope worlds in Unleashed, bad. They waste time from level to level. I just want to get from day stage to day stage, right? Open zone in Frontiers, good. Even though the main goal of the open world, the open zone, is combat and finding collectibles through exploring, aka the two things you guys hated about Sonic Unleashed. This reminds me of when Super Mario Odyssey came out to critical acclaim, and it was literally made by a lot of the same people who made Unleashed, but Unleashed somehow got way more flack for it because Sonic isn't allowed to do anything different apparently.
I'll give you kudos for acknowledging the hypocrisy between like Sonic and other things in the same vein when they try to do some new shit, so kudos on that. However, I would like to challenge your other point. Can you show me the hub world in Frontiers? Like any footage at all? Because it's almost like the hub world is the world that you exist in before you go to the day or night stages in Unleashed, and Frontiers is an open world game, so there is no hub world. It's just the world, and the game takes place in that world. Again, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. It's too easy sometimes. It really is.
I'm not saying this because I don't like Super Mario Odyssey. In fact, I really enjoyed that game. Not as much as Unleashed personally, but I think it was a great game. And the problem is not whether people like Frontiers more than Unleashed or not. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to talk about here. It's more so, I don't know if people are truly defending this gameplay in Frontiers because they actually think it looks so much better, or because it's the upcoming main Sonic game, so they have to defend it no matter what to convince themselves that 3D Sonic is in an amazing place.
I can assure you it's the former, because before the full game of Unleashed got released, people were very excited for, the day stages, because that was all that was being shown at the tech demos. They knew that something else was coming, but they didn't know what. And when the final game released, people almost completely disregarded the night stages as the bad part of the game, and that's how you got scores like these. And it's quite obviously not the latter, because I remember you putting out a whole video of basically ha-haing in people's face when they realized that Sonic Forces was bad, and you and a lot of other Sonic tubers and a lot of the other general public had feelings that declined closer and closer to the game's release because they saw some shit that they didn't like and that actually looked bad. So it can't be a situation of people just defending it because it's the new 3D Sonic game, when you yourself have admitted that you didn't do that with Forces when it was the new 3D Sonic game. You didn't do it with Lost World when it was the new 3D Sonic game, and that other people have had their negative say about Forces and this game. Like, the information is out there. Like, you're well aware that there are people out there that are not fans of this game. Even in your own comment section, there are people saying that they aren't excited for this game. So it's clearly not a case of the latter.
But either way, I'm seeing some hypocritical bullshit going on, so I have to call it out. For starters, let's not pretend like Frontiers has combat that has 10 times the depth of Unleashed, as if you could even name 10% of the Unleashed combos on the spot right now.
You're about to learn very quickly why we don't challenge the autistic children to games of memory. Also, like I said, I liked Unleashed. So I'm gonna do this. I never made it this far in the video when I first watched it. Like, I watched up until the point where he was ranting about metal collecting, and then I stopped and decided I had to make a video. So the rest of this from like that point on has been me watching it in my video editor and reacting and, you know, giving commentary live. So I'm gonna do this right now for y'all, and then I'm gonna go back and find the combo list and put it in where I say these combos. All of this is strictly memory. I know there was square, 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 square. That's the basic combo I played on PlayStation. There was square, square, triangle, 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 square, 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 triangle, triangle. There was a move called Shohogkin. It was a reference to Shoryuken. I thought that was funny, but I think that was triangle, triangle, X. Square, 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 X, I believe was another one. There's also square, square, triangle, triangle, square, square. How could I forget such base classics as triangle, 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 triangle? There's another one that's square, 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 triangle, triangle, I believe. I need one more, right? X and triangle. Because I believe a lot of the moves were either like during dash or like hold this button down for X seconds. So like the combo list was pretty short.
And if you say, well, oh, you could just button mash in Unleashed, guaranteed most games with combat let you do that, if not all of them. But I won't say all because I haven't played every single one, and From Software games obviously exist, but most. But that kind of brute force always results in taking longer to do the same shit as a skilled player, as well as lower ranks if that combat game supports that. Obviously, if the game has difficulty options, there's gonna be higher difficulties that won't let you get away with that because you get hit and die, probably have less hits before you die. But if you play on a normal difficulty or even an easy difficulty, they will let you do that. I've played Devil May Cry, you can button mash in that too. Doesn't mean you should. You ain't gonna get no triple S stylish with that shit. The same way you can brute force through a platformer that has no lives and plenty of checkpoints without truly getting good. Doesn't mean the game has no depth. Just like you can beat Super Mario Odyssey without learning more than the capture ability and maybe the long jump and the wall jump. But pro players will shit on you with cappy throws, wall jumps and dives, taking shortcuts everywhere. You've seen the way the speedrunners play Odyssey. Aside from like glitching through shit, just the way that they maneuver through the environment and the shortcuts they take, you know there's depth in that game whether you play the basic way or not.
I let that whole thing play out to highlight one specific, or two really specific things that a lot of people and YouTubers will do when they don't really have a point to make or hard evidence to support their point. The first one is straw manning, which is basically like presenting another argument in front of the original argument. In that 1 minute and 30-second clip, what did he say that related to people complaining about Unleashed but praising Frontiers? Anything at all? No. Man's just went on like a 2-minute rant about the skill level of button mashing, or what's more commonly known as dominant strategy, which is the theory that suggests if you find an efficient way to get the result, you're always going to do that, which is button mashing. It's prevalent in beat 'em ups and it's prevalent in fighting games, but that's neither here or there. The second thing is what's known as the Gish Gallop, which is making so many points that your opponent can't really refute all of them, let alone the original point that you were trying to make, because now you've made 6 arguments instead of the original one. This is what a lot of these channels now are predicated on, is putting out daily content or just saying a bunch of stuff in hopes that no one will actually check them on it. Well, I got the tism and I got free time, so that's why I do what I do.
Just because getting good is a choice and not mandatory doesn't mean the game has no depth. It means you chose to play at the baseline level and everyone can see it. This is why I miss the tougher ranking systems with the pre-generations games, because it really put a lot of you lot in your place. Guarantee any of you button mashing all the werehog enemies were not S rank in Eggman Land. Guarantee none of you who never learned how the hammer enemies and heroes worked actually A ranked Final Fortress. If you understood how the enemies worked, you know how to maneuver them the best. But nah, you were sitting there spamming to get a team blast, maybe even team blast glitching, which still takes longer to do than just defeating them the proper way, assuming your ass didn't die and lose your level ups. Like, you have no
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna cut it, cause you know, cuz ain't really talking about shit no more, just the same point being made over and over again, and like that actually goes on for like another 45 seconds, and like we've completely lost the original point of the video, was that, you know, there were some people who were being hypocritical over stuff that's been done in Frontiers, which was really a non-point in the first place, because as I've explained in the video, the methods are different, the design philosophy is different. Just, oh my God, y'all give me content, y'all really do, but Jesus, my head hurts after it. I'm gonna go alter my mental state. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, share it up like you did last time. I don't have goals for these. I just, you know, make the videos, put them out there, and the people that like them found them. So let's just do it again to infinity. Appreciate you watching. Check out the links in the description. Also, all of y'all owe me Patreon subscriptions now, because he definitely did it. And it's there in the description. Peace.